All right. Okay, great. So I am just gonna start. So hello and assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for your patience and thank you for joining us today. My name is Shazatur and I am a senior Education USA advisor based at the Karachi office in Pakistan. Today we have a great panel discussion in store for you on historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs as we call them, to commemorate February as Black History Month. But before we start today's session, I would like to briefly introduce Education USA for all those engaging with us for the first time. Let me see if I can move the slide. Hold on. Yep. So Education USA is your official source on US higher education and provides free advising services to students thinking about pursuing their bachelor's, master's, or PhD in the United States. We are a part of the US State Department network of over 400 advising centers in more than 170 countries. Education USA centers in Pakistan are located in Islamabad, Lahore, and Karachi. You can register with us for free on our website, and an Education USA advisor will be assigned to you. And all our advisors are US graduates themselves and are able to guide you through firsthand experience. Also, thank you for all of our students who are joining us today from Nepal and India. I would like to give out a shout out to Priyani from Nepal and my colleague Asta from India for doing this for us and for this wonderful collaboration. So another thing for our Pakistani students, I just wanted to share that do know that we have launched our official Education USA Pakistan app. You can scan these QR codes that are visible on your screen, and you can download it and experience really cool features, like you can chat directly live with your Education USA advisor, you can view and register for any upcoming events, you get updates, and a lot more features. So now let's get to our session today. So in today's session, as you all know, our panelists will share their reasons for attending a historically Black college and university, their alma mater specifically, their college experiences, and how those experiences shape them personally and professionally. So let's introduce them in no particular order over here. We have Cindy Saiz, who is in the INL Police as an advisor at the US Embassy Islamabad, and she attended Tennessee State University. Next up, we have David Makan, who is the facility manager and is also from US Embassy Islamabad, and he attended Tuskegee University. He's running a little bit late over here, guys. Embassy matters. He will be joining us shortly. Next up, we have Dr. Rubina Malik, who is a senior assistant professor at Morehouse College. Then we have Aroma Yusuf, our Pakistani exchange student who attended Claflin University through the Global UGrad Exchange Program back in 2019. So thank you so much, everybody, all my panelists, for taking out the time today. I know that it's different timings depending on where you guys are. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So should we dig into our panel? The questions?
Yeah, I should.
Okay, great. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that we are all visible as this on to everybody. To everybody who's attending, please pour in your questions in the comment section or in the Q&A section. I would like to start with my first question for each of you or either of you who would like to start. Could you tell us a little bit about what are actually HBCUs and how did they come to be?
The creation of historical Black colleges occurred shortly after the Civil War, and at the time slaves were freed, and there wasn't any type of opportunity for the free slaves to obtain any type of education. So many of your ministries and also some of the local the governments what they did, they started creating, a lot of them started out as like teaching colleges, you know, creating those teachers who can go out and then start educating young people, you know, young Black kids who did not have that opportunity. And as that concept grew, then a lot of your colleges also expanded. A lot of your early Black historical Black colleges and universities were agricultural, industrial. Like my alma mater, Tennessee State, used to be called Tennessee State A&I University. The same with like Florida A&M, agricultural, you know, the same thing. But that's how it came, because again, Blacks in the U.S. were not afforded an education in your predominantly other schools.
Great, thank you.
And then if I can add on to that, what Cindy said, so, you know, the government subsidizes these colleges, and there's 16 of them in the nation, in the USA. And then there's certain particular ones, and, you know, I'm proud to be at Morehouse College. And Morehouse was started by a Baptist minister who actually in his basement of his church would create these opportunities for young Black men to come and get educated, and hence Morehouse was created inside of the HBCU system. And then Spelman, our sister college across the street. So in Atlanta, there's the AU Center, there's Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark Atlanta University, and they make what they call the Atlanta University Center. So they're all HBCUs, we're all together, we're all brothers and sisters, but I'm just biased towards Morehouse, you know. So, but Morehouse is an all-male Black college. Spelman is an all-female Black college. And the Rockefellers, actually a very rich and prominent family back in the day, actually supported having Spelman. So it's such a rich history when we talk about historic Black colleges and how they became about, and the fact that community, you know, people saw injustice and wanted to bring justice, right? So wanted to create opportunities for African Americans to get an education and have opportunities.
Great, thank you. Thank you for sharing. This brings me to my next question. Now that we have educated the audience a little bit about what HBCUs actually are. So if I might ask, like Aroma and Cindy, specifically from you guys, what made you join an HBCU? And then Dr. Rubina, you can also talk about your professional experience. And Aroma, we can start with you, and you can talk about your Global U Grad Exchange experience as well. So go ahead, Aroma.
Okay, so for as in my case, I went to an HBCU through UGrad, and I think it was the best decision. I couldn't have made that decision by myself, so UGrad made that decision for me. I applied through this scholarship program. It's called UGrad by USEFP, United States Educational Foundation in Pakistan, and it's in Nepal as well, USEF, and then there's USEF I guess. So I applied for that scholarship, and as a semester exchange program, I went to Claflin University. Now, Claflin University is in South Carolina. It is a Black college, a historically Black college. My experience there and the scholarship, okay, there are other processes. If you want to apply directly to Claflin University, you have to have SAT, and you have to have a 2.80 CGPA. There are other requirements. Everything is mentioned on their page. You can go to their portal as well. You can get yourself registered, and that's it. Other than that, everything is mentioned on their page. They have their files. They have their brochures for 2021, 2022 admissions. Everything is mentioned there. Whoever wants to apply, they can just go. They'll find everything on the website, and I wish them luck, because Claflin University, I'm biased towards Claflin University.
Thanks, Aroma. What about you, Cindy?
Well, I've always wanted to go to an HBCU school through high school. My father, his last post was in South Carolina, and I was an athlete. I ran track, and I applied to several of them: Howard, Tuskegee, South Carolina State. And then I got a phone call from Coach Ed Temple, who was the track coach of the famous Tiger Bells. And he asked me if I wanted to join the team. And of course, I almost fainted because he was one of my idols. And I was like, yes. And my first choice was Howard, but at the time, Howard didn't have the housing, and my parents did not want me to live off campus in my first year. But I had always been a fan of HBCU schools just from my upbringing, and just learning from my parents. And so that right there in itself, and then being a part of such a famous track team, I was humbled because many of my track mates, one of them had already earned 3 gold medals, and they held national records and world records. And so, it was big shoes I had to step into. But just for also to Nashville, where Tennessee State is located, we are part, just kind of like Atlanta. We have Meharry Medical School, and we have Fisk, and Fisk is one of the earliest colleges as well. They're famous for the Fisk Jubilee, and of course Meharry is famous because they were historically a college where predominantly African American as well as foreign exchange students can go. Just a little footnote: a lot of your historical Black colleges throughout the U.S., we were some of the ones who always accepted not only instructors and professors, but also students from different countries. Because when I set foot on that campus, we had an array of people from different countries, from Pakistan, Iraq, different countries in Africa. So it was still an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, Cindy, I didn't realize that about the whole track thing. And Meharry is a medical school, right? It's the first. So if we look at the HBCUs, Meharry was a historic Black medical school. Howard, that has the law school. So if you think about how historic Black colleges were created, it was very strategic, right? So we had teachers, we had business professors like myself, as well as medical professionals. And Howard also has a medical school as well. So one of my mentors is a graduate of Howard Medical School as well. And so for me, so I come from the business world, right? So I actually have a corporate experience. And one day I just woke up and I was like, I want something different in life. I want to make an impact, right? And everybody's looking at me because I just got my MBA, and they're like, okay, you can make a lot of money right now. And I'm like, I know, but there's got to be something more. And so I started working for a nonprofit, and that nonprofit actually, Morehouse was a client. And, I started to meet some Morehouse graduates that were volunteers who are now the best of my friends. They're actually like my brothers, actually probably even more closer to me than my brothers. But, having met them and how they handle themselves, their intelligence, their demeanor, because Morehouse men, they say you can tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell him what to do. But there's definitely there's a distinct way that Morehouse men carry themselves and how they're trained. Okay. And so I was really impressed, and they were volunteering for my program. And just through that, I actually got access to be on campus because I was recruiting volunteers for my program. And I just got to see the students. And I was so enamored by them, the hunger that they had. And I was like, I want to be a part of this. And as I started talking to some of them, it was the brotherhood that got created. And, Aroma, you may have experienced this, and you too, Cindy, it's that brotherhood and sisterhood that you create.
I can't wait to talk about that. This energy and the brotherhood, sisterhood you're talking about, I can't wait to talk about that, because whenever my conversations are all around this thing, this brotherhood, this energy that you find on Black campuses, it's like you don't find it anywhere else.
Right, because there's people of color, and we're fighting, I don't want to say fighting, but we're going towards the same thing, and you think you're fabulous, then you meet somebody else that looks like you, and you're like, okay, I gotta up my game because this person is doing a lot more than I am, right? So Cindy, you may have had that experience too, running on the track. You thought you were great, and then you're like, hey, hold up. So there's just this bond that I felt, and that hunger and desire from my students, that I just, I would not trade that, for the world. So I have been teaching for a while. I'm now a grand mentor. So I have mentored a lot of young men, and I have now 2 grand mentees. So 2 of my mentors have had young girls. So, I mean, that just warms my heart, right? Like, so when the baby's born, they FaceTime, and it just moves me. But like, they FaceTimed me and said, Dr. Malik, meet your grand mentee. But that's the bond, you can't find that in a school that's huge or PWIs. And so that's my experience and why I chose to be at Morehouse. And yeah.
I just want to add something to this, because you are emotional and I remember something. There's my friend, a Black friend, and she can't wait to come to Pakistan with her 6 months daughter.
Oh, wow.
She's just waiting that she gets a ticket and she comes to Pakistan and visit, and she just wants to meet me. And these things, this bond, I feel like this is something else. This brother sisterhood and this energy and this desire to this acceptance towards diversity and acceptance towards all the cultures and every kind of people. I love this. This is the best in Black colleges.
So I think, go ahead. I was just going to bring it back to you, Cindy. Like, it seems like Dr. Rubina and Aroma, you both not only experienced brotherhood and this amazing bond, but it also seems like this was the highlight, or continues to be the highlight for you, so to speak, Dr. Rubina. So Cindy, for you, like, based off of your experience and your past 4 years, what do you think was the highlight? Would you agree with Dr. Rubina and Aroma?
Oh, most certainly. I have lifelong friends. I mean, they're so correct. The energy, the brother and sisterhood. We didn't want to see no one fail, and we bonded if one female had something going on, in our dorms, we bonded together. The energy, we have HBCU schools have what you call homecomings, which we have the big game once a year. And then that's when all the alumni and current students, and they join together. And I have been famously known to, I've probably since I graduated in 85, I may have missed total of 6. And that's, the majority of those is because I've been working overseas. But those are the moments, those 3 days where you're reconnecting and you're having fun with these classmates that you've been knowing since you were 17, and we're growing up together. And it's just, it's such a euphoric feeling. And then two, one of my very best experiences is when I joined my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. That's another golden jewel of HBCU schools, because so many Black students back then were not allowed to join sororities, or they didn't have a sorority like other predominantly white colleges had. So Howard is, of course, famous for being the first to create Delta Sigma Theta, females, I mean, not Delta Sigma Theta, excuse me, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and then Delta followed suit. And so many of these organizations, you have Kappa, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, then you have Sigma Gamma Rho, then you have Phi Beta Sigmas. These groups too played an important role on the unity, and also helped groom young Blacks into making it into society, whether it's in business, whether it's in furthering their education, or just even relocating. It's amazing, this bond. You can pick up a phone and you can call someone, and you're new in that city. And if you belong, like say if you did belong to one of the major sororities or fraternities, you can call up that local chapter saying, hey, I'm new in this town. And just the sisterhood and brotherhood would just envelope you and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I mean, that's one of the experiences that I had when I relocated to Dallas, was that energy. And the life, just in itself, the lifelong friendship. Even now I could pick up the phone and it could be anybody. And if something is going on in my life, and they'll take the time out to talk to me. That is one of the, if anything, is just that lifelong true friendship that nobody can never take away from me.
Great, thank you. Thank you everybody for sharing that. So while we're still on the topic of experiences, let me ask you a little bit of a tricky question. Is there anything that you would like to do over or change, maybe based off of your experience at an HBCU? Like, what would you like to change? If you could go back.
I'm talking to myself. I was on mute. But I do want to add one more thing is, when you go to an aroma, you can talk a little bit about this too as a new student, and Cindy, you can as well, in regards to when you go to an HBCU, it's a small school. And I think the other thing that the students get going to an HBCU is the attention from the faculty, right?
Yes.
Like I don't have more than, my classes get popular, so I usually have 30, sometimes a little bit over. But that's my limit, because that's all I can have in my class, the seating in my classroom. But you get that personal attention. I had a mentee that I was mentoring, and I really wanted him to go to Morehouse. He ended up going to another school I won't name, which is very near and dear to my heart. I graduated from there. And he got lost in the system. There's 50,000 students there. Nobody paid him any attention. He had so much potential, and I don't think he got utilized. But at Morehouse, when I see a student that has potential, like he's on my laser, it's laser. And I'm gonna make sure he gets what he needs. I'm gonna get the support. I think that makes a huge difference when you're going to college and you want to have a more nurturing environment. I'm not saying everybody's nurturing, you don't get educated. I want to make that clear, but it's just a smaller environment for you to get an education. So there's the bonding of your brothers and sisters, then there's the bonding that you create with the professors, because the student to professor ratio is smaller.
And I'm glad you brought that up, and because you are so correct. And I was going to even mention the and to expand on when you're talking about of how the teachers were like your parents. And
Yeah.
one of the things I loved about at least in my school, and then we used to do a little college tour. Like I went to Spelman. I mean, we went on a weekend to Spelman and all that, but the teachers didn't allow you, if they heard you talking, street slang or anything, they straightened you up. They're like, look, they let you know how tough the world was going to be. I mean, because many of us, or one of the highlights in HBCU schools, a lot of times society looks at young Black kids that we only come from one demographic economically, or even where you live. And an HBCU school opens your world up to like, whoa, you meet all these incredibly diverse kids from really upper rich families, to upper middle class, to even kids who struggled. But those kids, we all bonded, and the teachers always kept us in line about how we spoke, about our homework. I do have a famous story, and it's a famous person who went to our school, and I'm not going to mention her name, but anyway, she didn't get to graduate during her time because she needed to write her thesis, and she got offered a job that she couldn't refuse, but the professor was like, no, you got to do this like everybody else. She eventually did return, but that's how our teachers, they stayed on you. Look, we want you to succeed. We want you to graduate. And I kept in touch with a lot of my professors even afterwards, once we graduated, because they were like your mom and your dad. And if you called one of them in the middle of the night, they were there for you. They truly were there. If you were struggling with a class, they either set you up with a tutor, or they sat down with you, themselves. So absolutely right. When it came not only to the bonding of the students, it was the bonding of your professors, who I will always be forever indebted to the wisdom that they taught me just through sheer life experiences.
Great.
You're so
Thank
right on
you.
this, Annie. I would like to add something. I just recalled two incidents from my experience when I was back there in Clapham University. I was just sitting in the corridor, and my teacher, he was just passing by, and he stopped and he looked at me and asked me, Miss Yusuf, are you fine? And it was that time I was like, okay, I need to call my father, because the father figure you see in your teachers, your faculty. There was another. I spent my Thanksgiving dinner with my teacher. She called me to her house, and she had her sister there as well, and we had this really nice dinner and talked about different things. She asked me about Pakistan, and this cultural bonding. Then there's this elder people, and then the family like bonding. It's not only with students, it's with teachers as well. And getting back to your question, Shaza, I would want to change, if I get the chance, I would want to change my time period. I spent 4.5 months there, and I think I could spend 4 years at least.
Wow.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And just to add on to what lovely conversation we're having right now between the three of you, Aroma, as a South Asian international student, let's talk about that perspective. Again, from your conversation, I know that you were welcomed and all, but did you see other South Asian or other international students on campus? Because I do feel that we need to tell or educate our audience a little bit about the misconception that maybe historically Black colleges and universities are just for African-American students or just Black students. So would you just shed a little bit of light on that, please?
As Nepali students have also joined us, a lot of students there were Nepali. In Clarkson University, there are a lot of Nepali students, then there are Indian students. I made a Japanese friend. There were people from Taiwan, there were people from Philippines. So there's this culture, a lot of people were from Nigeria. So Black colleges, as I'm talking about Clarkson University, there's this huge diversity. We had this huge group of international students, and we had our own group. GSO, and then we had its elections where you select the president, and then there's this complete system where all the international students, they connect with each other and with the local students as well, and then you are known as international students, and teachers are looking forward to help you. Students are looking forward to help you, whether it's your Independence Day, your country's Independence Day, or any other event. GSO tries to organize those events for you, so that you don't feel left out. May it be Diwali for Indians, may it be Bhai Dooj, there are other events for Nepalis, may it be Eid for us. They try to inculcate everybody come together, they celebrate those events, and that's how it is about. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not only about the students, local students, a lot of students, it's a lot of diversity there. You will find a lot of other people, and the friendships, the bonds that you make with everyone, it's amazing.
Great. Dr. Bina, since you are at the college, would you like to add on to that, please?
Yeah, so, we too, just like Aroma mentioned, we have international students. Matter of fact, we've had a couple of Pakistani brothers that have come, and some Bangladeshi brothers. Matter of fact, he is now, one of the Bangladeshi gentlemen is a big celebrity on one of the radios. And I was reading his story one day on LinkedIn, and he was talking about, like, he didn't have anywhere to go, and going back to camaraderie, like anywhere to go. Somebody somebody said, hey, let me help you. They took him to the dorm, or stay with me because their dorm wasn't ready or something. But so we do have international students as well. So we have a lot of Africans right now. There's a gentleman in Africa that is giving scholarships to the young men in Africa to come to study in Morehouse. So we have a lot of Africans that are as international students. We have Caucasian students as well as we have Latino. So we have our job, we want to make it make it as diverse as possible. But as a South Asian professor, I don't feel isolated. I feel like it's actually a privilege, because I get to share myself as a Muslim Pakistani woman. And when they walk into my classroom, they expect me to be covered, and they expect whatever they see on media, and then they see this like cool, hip princess, Pakistani princess in front of them, and then they're like, oh wow. And then it's an opportunity for me to learn from them, and from them to learn from me as well. And so I'm very committed that that's their experience, that they get experience, not only a business experience from me, as well as they get an experience of cultural experience, as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that as well. I would like to move on to my next question. Let's talk a little bit about the affordability that historically Black colleges and universities also tend to offer, which a lot of our students, especially from the South Asian community, are usually looking for. So to either of you, again, feel free to chip in. If you could talk a little bit about how did you find the tuition, what is the application or the average cost of attending an HBCU, and what is required to apply to an HBCU for that matter? Cindy, I'll start with you, yeah.
When it comes to the international students, I know that there are scholarships that they can apply for. You know, when it comes to applying for scholarships, it's a matter of you have to sit down and, you know, do the homework. And with anything, especially for your international students, if they pass all the other requirements, you know, I think they have to take like the I forgot the test. It's T something. They have to take like the language test. Of course, you apply. Now, almost every university, but your historical Black colleges, they actually have counselors who they're experts in guiding students who are, you know, from another country and they want to attend. So they have actually people who can help guide them through the process. Now, in some states, you know, like for the average student, if you lived in, like my oldest son, he attended Tennessee State University. He followed in his mama's footsteps. And once you lived there a year in Nashville, then you got in-state tuition, which was a discount. And then also too, if you play a sport, we had quite a few students from another country who played a sport, and so they were able to obtain athletic scholarships. So there's different ways out there. If you're great, like I tell any student, it doesn't matter where they're from. If you maintain your grades, I mean, you really work hard and you bring home fantastic grades, the window is open for you to obtain you know, all types of scholarships and everything. It's just that you have to do the homework, and you have to also to make sure you watch out for shysters, you know, for people who will, you know, for criminals who will take your money. So, you know, we encourage too a lot of kids from foreign countries go the route like through your organization or through the Department of State that can guide you in the right direction, because there are a lot of criminals out there that will take a student or their family's money, and you won't even be able to get that opportunity to go to college because you'll be stuck. So be leery of that, you know, because sometimes not every shiny penny is shiny. So you know, that's if one of the biggest things we encourage the international, you know, students who want to attend, follow the right paths, contact that school, find out who the contact person is, go through the Department of State, go through your organization. There's so many legitimate, and also to just to make sure, because again, there's a lot of bad people out there that'll promise a whole lot and believe it just is. So just remember that. Go the right path. An easy way is not usually the good way.
Great, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Cindy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something that Cindy covered it really well. But as for international student, as for Pakistani student or any other student, Nepali or Indian, I just want to add this one thing, that do contact the homework thing. Do your homework thing. Cindy said it perfectly. Do contact alumni, people who have gone through from your college, people who have studied there, alumni from your country. You must contact them, because that will be a lot of help. Other than that, you'll find everything on the website. If you want to apply through any organization or anything like that, that's fine. But I would suggest this one thing, that do get in contact with an alumni. There are a lot of new Nepali students. And my friend, she was a freshman there, and the thing that helped her most in coming here, and she was on a scholarship in Clapham University, was that she contacted all of the alumni who were already studying there, and that was of great help. So yeah, I would say that do get in touch with them. You'll find them. Just do your homework correctly.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Thank you for that advice. Yes, Dr. Rubina.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't have to apply, but I will say it's competitive. So make sure, you know, that you have your your grade point average and all of that, write a good essay. And, to kind of, go back to what Cindy was saying is, don't be afraid to apply. Just make sure if somebody says, oh, I can get you in, no problem. That's what you need to be careful about. But there's, resources from USA Education and, EducationUSA Pakistan that, use them, get people to help you with your essay, and stuff like that. So just, be wise, and I think all you will be. But also know that, it is competitive. Morehouse is the creme de la creme. We're always in the top 5 of the top HBCUs. Usually one or two. We were up and down with Spelman usually, or Howard, but just know that it is competitive. And at the end of the day, although it is competitive, that this is an opportunity for you, and take advantage, of the opportunity that that could be provided. I think, just like I always say, Americans need to get out and go somewhere else. We as Pakistanis also need to go somewhere else to have a different perspective of what the world what the world is.
Yeah, thank you. And I also really appreciate the subtle plug for Education USA Advising Services. So all of you who are attending, we can help you find the right fit. Even if it is an HBCU, please get in touch with your Education USA advisor and talk about your options, and do discuss what would be a good fit for you. So now moving on to my one of my last questions, if not the last, depending on the time. Guys, I know that you also have friends who have attended other universities as well. So how would you say, like, I know we've talked about the bond, we've talked about the sisterhood and brotherhood and the faculty kind of relationship that they have with their students. How would you say would a traditional US university or college differ from an HBCU in your head, like in terms of what you've heard from friends, from colleagues? How would you say your experience has been different?
Well,
Aroma, sorry, I'll start with Aroma.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, I would say that there's this one thing. Even after the last webinar, my friends, nobody even questioned me that why were you so biased toward Black colleges? We also attended white colleges, and why were you so biased? Nobody said that, because that's one thing for sure. Even they know that the friendships, the bond that's made in a Black college, I would talk about that, because they made friends there. In other colleges, in other universities, they did make friends, but the friends that I have, I am still in touch with them even right now. A lot of them, they wish me best of luck for your webinar and everything. So friendships, number one thing, I think that's very different from other colleges and universities. I think all Black colleges share this thing. I'm not specifically talking about Claflin University. I think Black colleges, because they know how to accept people. That's the thing. Faculty, students, everybody, even the staff, even the dining center staff, even the admission staff, even the people with the postal service, even they know how to diverge you to indulge you in the activities, on campus activities, and just accept your culture, being curious about your culture, and then showing a positive side of their culture. So that's the thing about that's the thing I find different in Black colleges. Other than that, I haven't been to a white college or any other college. I don't know much of the difference, but another thing, the energy that you see in Black colleges, I don't think you can find it in any other college. Every time they're very energetic, they're ready to do anything. May it be 2 at night or may it be 3 in the day, they are ready to do anything. You just have to tell them that this is the thing and they're ready to do it. I think that's
great. Over to you, Cindy. Like, I know that you have kids also who have gone to college. So how would you say that their experiences differed if they've gone to different colleges?
Well, my youngest son, he attended Tennessee State as well for just a hot second, but he transferred to another school to play football. And you know, the bonding, I don't think was what he experienced at Tennessee State. And I'm not, and no one is saying that nobody bonds at other schools. I think because of the fact of the dynamic of it being, for one thing, of them being historical Black colleges. Because again, just like the doctor pointed out, Dr. Malik pointed out that um, anybody can go to a HBCU school. The doors is open, and but I've seen I've had other friends who've attended. My sisters attended different college, you know, big universities, not HBCU schools, and I don't hear them talk about it like me. Because they're always looks at me and they're like, oh, we know what you're going to do, you know, when homecoming comes around, you know, and everything else. And I can truly say I am in touch with hundreds of my former classmates, and we've reached out. That's one of the wonders of social media that I do love, you know, because you can really, you know, really keep in touch. But you know, I guess too, it's who you are as a person. um you can oftentimes your professors, they can pull out the shyness out of someone, you know, to open up about them. And one of the beauties also too, and I'm glad that in the last several years that HBCU schools are recognized, is because unlike what people think or may think, we have some of the top-notch professors and also to subject matters. I mean, like Dr. Malik pointed out, Morehouse is famous for a lot of stuff. They have a lot of famous alumni. Howard, Tennessee State, we have through our Air Force ROTC, we have a direct connection to NASA. You know, you have to major in aeronautic, uh aeronautic engineering, you know. You have to you have to major in a specific in a specific studies. But a lot of your schools, and people tend to undermine that, even when it comes to sports. Some of your top football players at one time only came from historical Black colleges. And then as D1 schools started really, you know, getting, you know, bigger, they were taking all the athletes away. But we've in recent times, thanks to Deion Sanders, he's putting a spotlight again on athletic programs in all the HBCU schools, and encouraging the athletes, you know, to come back home, you know, and you know, and just to feel that pride and joy. So you know, again, it's not taken away from how people bonded at other schools, because people do bond, but I think because of the large size, you don't get to really bond with everybody. But at a lot of your historical Black colleges, you can, you know, they're smaller, and you basically, even if you didn't know that person, you remembered who they were, and you may have said hi or participated in something with them. And that's the beauty of it.
Great, thank you. Anything you would like to add, Dr. Rubina?
Yeah, so, you know, I did go to a predominantly white school. So actually all of my education. And so my last one was, you know, I have like, you know, 3 degrees and then some, right? Because one can never be smart enough. And like, I will tell you, one day I'm walking across campus, and I really I got teary, and I got a little sad, because I'm like, nobody has said anything to me I've walked from across campus, and not one person has greeted me. And you know, and I'm not just jolly because I'm here with y'all. This is who I am, like on a regular basis. You know, like I'm energetic. And I'm like, I'm probably walking around like this, huh? Hi. But nobody acknowledged me. And I wasn't a young girl. I wasn't a young lady. Like, you know, I was, I mean, it wasn't like I was young, right? Because I'm only 29 3/4. So, but that would have never happened at Morehouse. That would have never happened at Morehouse. Matter of fact, you know, I mean, true enough, I'm a favorite professor there. And by the time, it takes me a half an hour to go across campus because people want to stop, talk to you, say hello, take a selfie, whatever, you know? And so, but the fact is, again, the atmosphere creates a certain atmosphere that, okay, here's the truth, okay? We're all together and we're all people of color. And in some ways, we all have the same concerns, issues, and problems. We're not the majority.
You're so right on this. Yeah.
Right. And then that becomes a bond.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that becomes a bond. And then you're in this environment and it's all people of color and you can support each other. And it doesn't matter if I'm a Pakistani woman or I'm a Black woman. But the fact is, I have pigment in my skin.
Yeah, that's the common point.
Yes. And so that creates, you know, aroma, that creates something, right? That creates that bond.
Yeah.
And so I was really sad that day. I walked across campus and I called my friend and I was like, oh my God, like nobody knows me here. Nobody even attempted. So, you know, for me, that was a big thing. And then the other thing, as a professor, my heart is here. And my heart is here because my students are eager. They want to learn. They're hungry. They want to be the best that they can. And they're, you know, like, I'm not saying all of them aren't. I'm not saying that there aren't arrogant ones. There are some arrogance, but you know, they're not arrogant. They're like, feed me, you know, tell me how can I? And I really, really appreciate that. And that at the end of the day, you know, as one of my mentors and my dean, my previous dean would say, young lady, that's our paycheck. Is when, you know, a student comes up to you and says, you know, you've changed my life. Like I am where I am because of you. And you thought this student didn't even you didn't even make an impact on them, you know? So yeah, for me, that's the, you know, the biggest difference, the hunger, the connection, yeah.
And you're absolutely right with the HBU schools were like a protective shield for students, and our professors was preparing us for the real world. Because I graduated in 1985 from Tennessee State, young, bright-eyed. I got this degree, but it dawned on you like, okay, degree, no job. Oh my God, you know, and I was a new mother. So it was like, oh goodness. So they were preparing us, okay, we're trying to, you know, teach you the real world. And again, this is back in 85 when things, you know, things are a whole lot different now. You know, the opportunities are really, you know, to me, a lot better as far as in that. But it prepared me even though I didn't go to college to be a police officer, it just kind of happened that way, you know. I became one, but my experience with my you know, going to Tennessee State and also meeting other fellow police officers that went to HBCU schools and you know, were in fraternities and sororities and stuff. It was a welcoming, you know, it took the fear out of, okay, what am I getting myself into? You know, I've never held a gun before and all of that, but it helped me relate to even the different areas of Dallas that I worked in to help me relate. And And even because of the fact our professors and any of the professors, I give them credit all across the board at HBCU schools. When I tell you they emphasized about not talking any street slang, they wanted you to talk proper, I mean, and what I mean by proper English, pronounce your words, don't sound like an idiot. That's one of the things. We don't want you, your parents are paying for this education. We don't want you to go out here and sounding like you haven't done anything. And so I just got teased in the streets when I first became a cop, by the way I spoke. So I laugh about it now, but, they used to go like, they used to just say a certain term, like, oh, you don't talk like you're Black. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to talk? I'm sure you've heard that before. So,
right.
like,
yeah.
And
I'll tell you one of the most beautiful experiences to what Cindy is saying. Cindy, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no.
There's a legislative fellows, and here's another. I just want to say for all the young people, you know what? I'm so jealous of you, and I'm jealous of you because when I was younger, I didn't have opportunities that y'all had. And by the way, just so you know, I am Pakistani. I was born in Pakistan. I was born in Islamabad. I was just telling Aroma, and I went to the U.S. when I was 8 years old. So, मैं Punjabi बोलनी है, Urdu समझ लेती हैं. Okay, let's just be real. And there's such great opportunities what Education USA is doing, what the consulate does. I mean, this isn't my first program. I mean, I ran a mentoring program for entrepreneurs last year. I mean, and those people are still in touch with me. Matter of fact, one of them just sent me gifts because he's like, oh, somebody's coming to Dubai or US or whatever. I'm going to send you a gift, And so it's really important that you take advantage of these opportunities. And when you take advantage of these opportunities, you get to be, like Cindy was just saying, these stereotypes, she was alluding to a stereotype. Yeah. So I had some legislative fellows stay with me several years ago. And so one of the days they spent the whole day with me. I had 2 girls stay in my house with my mom, and then they would spend the day with me. So they would go to class with me, speak to my students. Then they would spend the whole day on campus. They would learn about Martin Luther King. By the way, Martin Luther King went to Morehouse, just so you know. Spike Lee, the producer, went to Morehouse. Edwin Moses, the track star, went to Morehouse. And so they learned all of this stuff. And then afterwards, around lunchtime, we would have a panel. And I remember there was people from Nepal, Pakistan, the 7 South Asian countries. And Burma, okay, now that I'm remembering, Burma as well. And one of the young men said, I just thought Black men walked around with guns killing people. He was so amazed to see, no, that is not the truth, right? And he got to see, and his world changed by what he experienced, because what you experience in videos and TV and media is not the truth. That's a stereotype. And living in that stereotype, you close so much opportunity. So really invite you to, take advantage of the opportunities, whether it's going to an HBCU, it's other programs, that Education USA has or the embassy has. Again, like I said, I'm jealous, like there wasn't those kind of opportunities. And I understand too, like sometimes maybe it's our parents or whatever, but you got to show them the value of what that's going to create for you. And you come back here with a whole different perspective.
No, 100% for sure. And I love how the conversation is flowing automatically towards impact and opportunities as well, because like Cindy mentioned, how the university and her experience helped her once she graduated to explore opportunities that she otherwise would not have thought were possible for her. And similarly, the impact that it has had on you, Dr. Rubina, in terms of the bonds that you have created with your students and how you've mentored them and how you also in some way are impacting lives while you're there. And same goes for you, Aroma, like how it has made a difference in terms of maybe how you view relationships and be it professional or personal now. So I know that we are at our 1 hour mark, but I would like to ask this one question in terms of, again, impact and then any final comments that you guys would like to say. Personally and professionally, I know that the conversation has been about bonds. Has it helped you prioritize or actually see, be it professional or personal, like how do you go about relationships after coming back from such an amazing sisterhood and brotherhood kind of a bond? How do you come back to reality and how the real world otherwise is in terms of professionally, personally? So we can start with you, Aroma.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to the previous conversation. A lot of students are watching us. I would say one thing that I know it will be difficult for a lot of students to convince their parents to join a Black college or university. So I know that will be the thing. Why? Because when my father got to know about that, even he was, the stereotypes, talking about the stereotypes. Even he was a little bit like kind of thing that, okay, you're going to a Black college. He was not very happy with that. But once I came back, and now that he have seen me through that journey, whenever I talk about planning to apply for masters, he's like, okay, choose a Black college. So that's the difference. That's the impact that my father, who was very okayish about a Black college, is now asking me to pursue. If you want to go to, if you want to pursue masters, try and find a Black college. So that's the kind of impression I can write it down for you guys. That your parents, I know it will be hard. They will prefer other colleges and universities over HBCUs, but it's you. It's about you. If you want to have a good experience, if you want to have long-lasting, everlasting friends who check up on you, teachers who will check up on you, even when you're in America or you come, if you're back to your country, they'll check up on you, they'll greet you on your events, and they'll stay in touch with you. So if you want to have that kind of, if you just want to go and study and you just want to be something, you can go to any other college. But if you want to have, that bond, if you want to connect to people, HBCUs are number one priority. You can just pick this bracket whenever you can.
And for the young men, come over to Morehouse, right? So, and by the way, this is, Morehouse is an undergraduate school, but we graduate a lot of science majors that go on to be medical doctors. Most of our students actually go on to be going to Harvard, Stanford, Yale, all those big school names. So, you go from undergraduate to those experiences. So this isn't just this the bonding, yes, but no, also the education that you get. I mean, imagine, taking classes with me, right? And that education you get. Yeah. Go ahead, Cindy.
No. And I apologize. No, and let's just emphasize, the moniker Historical Black Colleges and University was created because of the important significance of these universities and the impact it had in the Black community. Now, as far as in students, like Dr. Malik mentioned, everybody goes there. And now you may not see them on, you may not see like other, you may not see like perhaps some of the white students, they're in classes, but they don't stay on campus. See, that's the big difference. And I want to emphasize that, to the students out there. Believe me, Tennessee State, we have even a downtown campus, and everybody goes to it, but you just don't see them living on campus because the majority of kids who are staying on campus, and not saying that they don't have any, but the majority of kids who stay on campus are predominantly Black and brown students. and a lot of your historical Black colleges too have PhD programs. Many of them, and or even a medical school. Texas Southern has a medical school. Meharry, not only is it a medical school to go into being a doctor, it's also too, it has the you can become a dentist. So, and so it's to, if you want to help explain, to the young people out there listening, if you want to explain to your parents, again, they're on the internet. They're a lot of the schools have been refurbished and are beautiful campuses. If you want to become an engineer, or in any of the STEM in any of the STEM studies, a lot of your famous women who worked at NASA, if they ever looked at the movie Hidden Figures, these beautiful, wonderful Black American women were working for NASA and didn't even get credit in the very beginning, and the lights are shining on them now, but when they were all first working, they were hidden in another building and not around anybody else. So just take that. Number one thing is it's your education. That's foremost important. And wherever you decide to go to, and just remember how you interact on that campus, how you if you want that thirst, and it will affect you in what you do for a living. Again, even though I didn't go to school to be a cop, that job just happened to fall in my lap. And I credit not only with the upbringing that I experienced with my family, but also too with my college family, and just the bondness and knowing how to treat people out there. And it humbled me. I've retired from that job, but what I do now for a living, traveling around the world, I'm humbled on a constant basis, and I'm even honored to be even in my role in what I do now. And I'm in this beautiful country now of Pakistan, and though COVID has prevented us from really getting out there like we normally are, hopefully as hopefully as this virus maybe gets contained, we'll be able to really go out there, and I will be able to perhaps get to meet some of the young people, or just even in general going out and experiencing this country. So what I want to leave there is that do your homework. Don't call your counselors. Call Education USA, Department of State. Call that university, and just remember, all do your just bring home your those good grades. Have your GPA, at not at the minimum level, have it at a higher level, so there won't be any misgivings when you start applying. And like Dr. Malik even said, get someone to help you write your essay, because that's going to be important. You want it because you want to draw from your essay your own life experience and why you want to go to that university and what are your aspirations.
Great, thank you. And as much as I would love to continue this conversation that we're having, it unfortunately has come to an end. But thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your experience, taking out the time. I for sure had a lot of fun, and also a lot of information that I got from you. And I can truly vouch for the energy that I just feel between the three of you, that it is truly something special, and that HBCUs definitely need to be considered by our audiences. So,
I apologize
yes.
for Mr. I couldn't make it. He was stuck in an audit that he couldn't get out of. So I'm apologizing for him. He texts me.
Yeah, and
that's okay. We definitely miss
And last year we had Cameron,
Go ahead.
Cameron actually worked at the embassy in Karachi. He was one of my former students, as well as he was a Morehouse graduate. And so I was really proud of that as well.
Yeah, we usually do get, last time was the first time we did the session, and I'm really happy to have Aroma and Dr. Malik back with us. And Cindy, it was a pleasure to have you, and hopefully, given the time and the situation, we'll be able to meet each other soon. And with that, thank you everybody for joining us. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye,
Thank you for
everybody.
coming.
care.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Nice
Malik,
to meet all of you again.
I'll
Yeah,
be
it's
in
nice-
touch.
Okay, yes, please do. Yes, yes.
All
I'm on LinkedIn as well. So
Okay.
Aroma,
All right.
stay in touch, and Shazad, stay in touch. Thank you for inviting me. This was an honor.
Yes, this was, I'm truly honored. Thank you again, Education USA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last one.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Yes. Go
Yeah, some people
ahead,
had,
Aroma.
did the questions get answered? Kasum had a question about scholarships without SAT. I'm not really